Good morning, Oracles. So today we're going to talk about Tesla and their culture. A lot of times everybody's looking at the engineering in Tesla is outstanding. You know, their product is just better than everybody else's that's out there, and they've got the best relationships with their vendors, and there's so many great things that Tesla is doing that shows that they have the lead. But there's one thing that goes right down to the core that a lot of people overlook, and that is their culture. And they have a fail-forward culture. When you fail forward, it means that you are learning from your mistakes. You know, you've made a mistake. All right, I have failed, but let me learn from this mistake and move forward so I can become better. Well, this is what Tesla does on a cultural level, right down to their roots. So every time there's a little mistake or anything, they're like, how can we improve this? How can we improve that? Oh, this didn't work. Let's fix it. This is how their entire culture works down to the bottom. And they all work with each other. If you have seen Sandy Munro's video recently of them breaking down the S Plaid, that's what he talks about. He talks about a culture that, you have all the different employees and different sections of the vehicle that are working on their own parts, actually working together with each other to prevent further problems happening going in the future. And so this is huge. This is such a cultural difference from what we know from the OEM legacy automakers. And it goes right up to Elon, because we've seen interviews in the past where people have spoken about CEOs from bigger companies where if you talk back to a CEO or tell them that they're wrong, you're probably going to lose your job. Elon actually encourages that. I'm sure it's not always perfect, but a lot of people have spoken about how you get into a table meeting or a meeting of any sort with Elon and you point out that he's wrong with something and you've got the evidence to back it up, then he's like, okay, that's, it's a good thing. That's how they work it. And I think that's why it goes all the way down to the base level, that it's okay to fail, just come up with a solution and fix it. And that's how they operate. And they do that at a speed that nobody else can compete with. I was talking to my friend who works at Apple and he says Apple works really fast. Tesla is like 3 times as fast. And it's completely insane how quickly Tesla is just moving forward with their technology. And this speed is what's going to keep them in the lead going forward, because you've got these legacy automotive makers who still do things the slow, old-fashioned way because that is their culture. And so even if they do learn what engineering Tesla is using, by the time they figure it out and be able to do it on their own, Tesla's going to be 5 years further in the lead. So, I look at these things and I'm like, there's no way legacy can catch them. And this all comes down to operational efficiency, and they do so at the best, highest level possible. We are learning about lean management at my job right now, and that's what Tesla does with every single thing they do. How lean can they go? And it's just, lean management just means how much productivity can you get out from the least amount of energy put in. And so, you look at how compact and efficient all of their machinery and technology is, and then you look at how vertically integrated they are. You look at all of their processes are extremely streamlined and lean. And so you do this on every single level along your company, and you are going to be able to produce high margin vehicles like Tesla does, because you have to put in the least amount of effort and energy to get the most production possible. And Tesla's not afraid to try things. Like they announced over the weekend, well, unofficially announced, that there will be an app store that will be coming out for the Tesla. Kind of something that we figured would be coming down the road once enough vehicles were out there to warrant an app store being on there. But seeing as, Elon's vision for the future is being able to be productive and entertained on your car rides because you're not driving, this makes total sense to integrate that all into your vehicle. Because you think about it, your vehicle will realistically be like a giant, cell phone on wheels. So that's really all it is. And so looking at what they can do with this app store, it's early on, but they're willing to try things, and they're going to make mistakes, and it's going to fail. We're going to hear a lot of FUD out of all of this, but guess what? They're going to figure it all out. They thrive on FUD. I mean, every time we hear all this FUD that comes out, Tesla's like, all right, we'll make a mental note and we'll fix it so we don't do that in the future. It's almost great for Tesla to be in the spotlight like they are, because every tiny little mistake that they make is just thrown into headlines, and then Tesla can be like, all right, well, that's a problem we'll fix and we'll take care of it. When you have nobody addressing your problems or pointing out that you have an issue, you're not going to have as much opportunity to fix it, because you're like, oh, well, it's not bothering people that much, so why bother? It's, kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the oil. This is what's happening. And Tesla right now is the squeakiest wheel. So they keep getting all of these noises and they're going to keep on putting oil on it and they're going to fix them all. Whereas legacy automotive makers are just going to be touted for being in the lead despite the fact that they aren't. And they're not going to have to force themselves to fail forward because they have nobody pushing them that way. And this failing forward is why Tesla is going to have such an immense lead going forward. Because we looked at all the different supply chain issues that they had. They failed forward with that. They're like, oh, we don't want to make this mistake, so we're going to double down and get more supplies. Whereas everybody else shied away from it. In my field right now, I'm in construction retail. And we are a booming business. We have been going completely insane with our sales. However, there are still some companies out there that are going under. And it begs you the question, is like, how is it possible that we could have as much business as we have, but these other companies are going under? Well, they didn't fail forward fast enough. They didn't learn from their mistakes. They didn't bulk up on their inventory in order to survive this. And then they couldn't get the supplies that they needed. They couldn't make any sales. And they have now gone under. And this could be the same thing that's going to hold true for all the other automotive makers out there. If we go into a recession, if the supply chain issues continue to wear on them. And when you look at these automotive makers, whether they're the legacy automotive makers or the startups, you've got these companies out there. If they did not pull the right triggers and get themselves the supplies that they need or have enough cash on hand if we hit a recession, these companies could go under. And if these companies go under, guess what? That's another piece of the pie that Tesla can scoop up and have an even bigger piece of the pie. So going forward, this is huge for Tesla because they have gotten themselves into such a dominant position. They've got cash on hand. So whatever happens going forward, a recession actually would end up thinning things out. I think if we don't go through a recession, it gives legacy automotive makers and startups a better opportunity to survive. If we hit a recession, it could be very difficult on all of them. It's going to be difficult on everyone, and that's where only the strong survive. So either way, Tesla comes out of this strong, and it's all because they fail forward. And we've heard about it on other interviews as well, like with Farzad, and he talks about how quickly they can change things right there on the assembly line. It's not like they do in the legacy automotive makers and like, oh, this is a little design flaw. Well, we'll start working on that for the next model year down the road. No, Tesla's like, ooh, got an issue. Let me fix that right here. And they fix it right there on the spot. And then they roll with it. And then going forward, those are the ones that they're using. It's, the research and development is totally different. They don't just say, oh, we're going to allocate X number of dollars here, X number of dollars there. It's more of an on the fly, hey, we figured this out. What is this going to cost us? Great. And that's it. And they fix it and move on. And that is the speed of failing forward that these companies are going to need to have just to compete with Tesla. Now, only time will tell if these other automotive makers will be able to create that type of culture within their own companies, or if they will not, and Tesla will just continue taking the lead even further. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think anybody else, any of the other automotive makers, are going to have an opportunity to create a culture like Tesla has to be able to keep them failing forward as fast? Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, as well as all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.